Hi guys, and welcome back to my course. In this video, we will learn how to create and use promises. So this is the syntax to create a promise object. So to create a promise object, we use the promise class with new keyword, and the constructor, it requires a callback function, and this constructor, it passes two functions as an argument to that callback, resolve and reject. So when the operation is complete, we call resolve, and when the operation fails, we call reject. Let's try creating a promise for the AJAX call we saw in the previous video. So let's comment all these. Let's just copy this URL. Okay, so constant, let's say post list promise new followed by the promise class name, and this accepts a callback function, and it passes two arguments to this callback function, resolve and reject. Now in the promise body, we can simply write our AJAX call. So $.get, we pass the URL and we write the callback function. So this jQuery get method, it passes the response data to our callback function, let's say data. So when this callback function is called, it just means the call was successful. So we can call the resolve method and pass the data here. And when the call fails, we can call the reject method and we can pass the error here. Or we can create an error instance and pass some data to that. So let's say call failed for get post list call or get post list request with status. Let's convert this to backticks so that we can use template strings, dollar, curly braces, and inside here we can pass error.status. Let's save it. Let's check the console. So nothing is printed. Let's try printing the result. Say get post list response, and let's print data here. So let's check our console. So as you can see, the call was made and we get the response. So what is the benefit of promise? As we still don't know when was the response received or when was the call completed. So to get that data, we can simply chain then and catch methods to our promise object, and these methods are available by default for the promise object. Then method is called when the resolve is executed and it receives data passed in the resolve method. Similarly, catch method is called when the reject method is executed and it receives the data passed in the reject method. So let's give it a try. So this is our promise object. So let's say post list promise dot then and catch. So both these methods, they accept a callback function. So let's create an anonymous arrow function. Let's just print call success, and for catch we can print call failed. Let's save it. Let's check our console. So as you can see, when the call was success, it prints call successful. Similarly, if I just disturb this URL, so this is now an invalid endpoint and it gives us an error saying call failed. So this is the benefit of using promise. So you get to know when was the call completed, whether failed or successful. I also mentioned these then and catch method, they get data from the resolve and reject methods. So whatever we passed here in the resolve method will get passed to this then. So let's say response. Let's try printing it. So let's say then response. Let's print response. Let's comment this one. Okay, so let's revert the URL back to normal. Okay, so as you can see, it first printed call success and then it printed the then response. Similarly, if you just pass say 100 from here, we get 100 inside that then function. So whatever we're passing here, it gets passed to this then function. All right. Similarly, if there was an error, so this catch method, it gets whatever gets passed to this reject. So let's say error. Let's try printing it. So let's say catch error, and let's say error. And as you can see, it prints this error called failed for get post list request with status 404 not found, because we gave an invalid URL. So if I revert it back to posts, everything goes back to normal. So this is how you create a promise object, and this is how you use it to know when the call or when the operation was completed. And that's all for